Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Flat Earth Sage, and today I just wanted to do a quick little video um, talking a little bit about refertilizing. Now, in the back over here, my tripod will cooperate. Not sure if you guys can tell from here, but my plants are looking slightly sad, and they're showing some slight yellowing. I think, as you guys can tell, looking a little bit damaged. And that's basically because lack of nutrients in these raised bed. These plants have been growing quite a long time in those raised beds. And so these plants behind me have been growing quite a long time in those raised beds. And the last time I amended the soil was when they were young seedlings. That was about 3 months ago. And the plant, oh, before I forget, the name and variety of this plant is called Hot Biscuits Amaranth. And basically, when the temperatures cool down a little bit more, they will produce an edible seed that I'm growing for as a grain, and hopefully I can do some pretty sweet things with those edible seeds. But right now, because of the yellowing on the leaves, that's showing me that it's in desperate need of some nutrients. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply the fertilizer, show you guys a little bit how I do it and what fertilizer I use. But before I even talk about it, it's not a paid sponsorship at all. It's just a review by a really satisfied customer who's used this product and experienced the results between normal fertilizers and this kind. And this is called Trifecta Plus. They got it in a couple different bags, and basically what it is says ultimate soil charger for organic gardening with added trace minerals, beneficial bacteria and fungi. And it's got a 5-10-4 NPK ratio, nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus, or nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And I've used this thing for quite a few years, and it's given me really, really awesome results that I was really happy with. Anybody who watched my channel has probably seen some of the videos on my raised bed, my in-ground raised bed in Virginia, and basically what do they call it? I know I'm gonna butcher the name, but it's the Behut Jaclovia ghost pepper, and I started that from a seed, and I use this stuff here, and I kid you not, by the end of the season, that thing was the size of a small shrub. It was amazing, chocked full of peppers. So, really good stuff. And if anybody wants to get any, you can get it from migardener.com. Again, not a paid sponsorship. I wish. Be pretty sweet. But I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I apply it to my raised beds over here. So let's go ahead and move this. So, all right. So, got my measuring cup here. What I'm going to basically be doing is applying 2 cups per raised bed. Now each one of my raised beds is approximately 4 feet by, I think, like close to 1.5 feet, something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply 2 cups per bed on this. Give me a minute to open up my bag. It's kind of what it looks like on the inside, a little bit. I don't know how well you guys can see that. So go ahead and 2 cups. Try to get as exact measurement as possible on this. Looks pretty close. So, because there's so many plants in here and there's a pretty thick layer of mulch on this, I'm basically just going to top dress it, the entire bed right here. And I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to have to try to spread it out as best as I can on the bed. So, you know, all around my plants, best I can. And you're going to want to try to work it in the best you can into the soil. Shouldn't be too difficult. There's a pretty decent layer of mulch in there. And after you apply the fertilizer, it's best to water it in, because it's going to work it into the soil a lot quicker. So, okay. Get the old 1-2. Sure all this stuff is nice and worked in best I can. So that's bed number 1. Next bed over here. You can give it about the same amount. You can tell I got the lavender there. I got my I think I can never remember the name of that flowering plant, but I basically just got it, you know, to encourage pollinators. But even besides that point, I like it. I like the flowers. I think they're really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and apply another 2 cups to this raised bed over here. Wait, that's right. I almost I don't know what I was thinking. I almost forgot to apply the 2nd cup to this bed. Good thing I thought of it in time. Go. Rework the soil over here. All right, so that bed is good. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure this out and do this bed. Alrighty. My neck last cup. Time to go scratch this in. Nice and good. Nice and good. Okay, so those are worked in good. Now I can go ahead and water. Um, just a note though, if you live in a cooler climate, probably not do this right now, not water right now. But since because I live in a hotter climate, it's okay for me to go ahead and water as needed. So we will go ahead and gonna have my eggplant. Sorry about that, guys. I can tell my eggplant really wants to set fruit soon. And because the temperatures are dropping soon, it should be able to. So, next, give me 1 second and we'll show you guys how I do the watering. I also recommend if you're going to water during the day like this, only do it if you have some sort of mulch on top of your soil, because your soil's more likely to bake due to the intensity of the sun, and obviously you don't want that. Okay, so go ahead and grab these. Also too, if you live in a hotter climate, definitely let the water run a few minutes before you decide to go ahead and give your plants a drink. I've never made that mistake, but I definitely know people, gardeners who have made that mistake, and they deeply, deeply regretted it. So, okay, I think the water's almost close to being nice and cool. Let's see. Now, what I like to do, since these are raised beds here, and they're kind of up off the ground, I like to give these plants a good shower. I mean, I like to keep it on the shower setting when I water them. Although for some of my more deeper rooted plants in containers, I'm probably going to use the center sprayer setting, just because it's going to be able, it has a higher pressure, it's going to be able to penetrate deeper into the soil. So that feels like it's just about good. And never be afraid to deeply water your plants, because when you deeply water your plants, you encourage that root system to grow out, to expand, to find that moisture that's deep down in the soil. And when you get a bigger root system, you have a bigger, more robust, healthier plant. See, gave it a nice deep watering. You might be able to notice that it's dripping a little bit out, and that's okay, because I added plenty of nutrients to the plants already. But I would say, if your plants have been going a long time without nutrients, I would not suggest watering it to that point. Basically, I'm watering it nice and deeply to make sure all that stuff gets worked in the soil a lot quicker, so it can be a lot more available to the plant. Also, I think you can kind of notice it over here. There's a lot of plants growing in this area, so it acts kind of like a natural cover crop on top of attracting pollinators. Another reason I really like this plant, I believe it's a native plant, so it's been growing really well here. Very pleased. And then right here, see if I can move this in a little closer. Right here, this is lavender. And man, I love the smell of lavender. So that feels like it's nice and good. And it's going to work its way in there. And also, you can't see it because of the camera, but it's kind of buried back there. But back here, there's a terracotta pot embedded into the soil. And it kind of acts, if you guys are familiar with an Oya pot, it kind of acts like that. I'll saturate that thing with water, and it'll slowly seep down and make its way into the soil. And another thing you can kind of do um, to provide the most adequate water for your plants if you're growing in a raised bed like this. So, and I make sure to put a little bit of that fertilizer in there. So not only is it going to seep down and water it, but it's actually going to fertilize it at the same time too. So that's good. Man, the flies are aggressive. Okay. So that's basically how I fertilize raised beds like that. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of how I do containers, because this eggplant over here, let's see if you guys can see it or not. Because this egg, oh. This eggplant back here is looking a little bit unhealthy. It's showing some clear signs of some nutrient deficiency, but again, let's see if I can show you guys. So basically, you can tell there's a spot right here. It's an indication of a nutrient deficiency, probably most likely nitrogen. So I'm just gonna show you guys a little bit on kind of how I top dress my containers. So all right, so for something like this, what I usually do is I'll come in with like a handful of it and just try to evenly spread it all over the top of it. So it maybe end up being like a cup, maybe something like that. So something like this, probably like 2 or 3 handfuls, I guess depending on the size of your hand. Something like that. Just enough to like adequately coat the top of your surface. So, and then same thing. Want to try to work it in the best you can. But because I have wood chips, I'm not gonna just overly work it, because I don't want to get any of these wood chips down below soil level, because then it's gonna end up doing a thing called nitrogen sequestration, or yes, I believe that's the right term. But basically what it is those wood chips start breaking down and decomposing, and during that decomposition process, they steal a lot of nitrogen away from the roots. So I'm trying to avoid that a little bit. I've been using wood chips for quite some time, and I can say I don't think I've ever had that happen. But then again, I want to try to avoid that from happening, because I hear that is an issue. So go ahead, work that in there nice and good into the soil. So now, after I've done that, I'm going to want to work that in, of course, like I said, with some water. Now, because the size of my plant is pretty big compared to the container, I'm going to go ahead and use the center setting on the hose. Like I was saying, that's going to provide the optimal pressure that you want to get that water nice and deep, because a plant of this size has a pretty decent sized root mass. And not to mention the fact that these fabric grow bags actually get to actually do something really special to the roots. So basically, as the roots move around to try to find the nutrients and the water that they need, they're going to eventually hit the fabric grow bag. And alright guys, sorry I'm back. So as I was saying, since we already worked fertilizer nice and deeply into the soil, we can go ahead and give it a nice good watering, like I said, on the center setting. Try to get that water down to the roots as quickly as possible. There we go. That should help to penetrate those nutrients through the soil a lot quicker. And right over there we got my Goliath bush tomato that is looking like it might need a little bit of attention too. I didn't actually give it any nutrients when I planted it, but today, since I got my good fertilizer, I'm going to go ahead and give it some added nutrients. And we're going to basically do the same thing to it. I'll add a little bit less. I'll add a little less of the trifecta to it, but it definitely does need some. Water that one in nice and deeply, same way. Alright, so I got those in nice and good. Now, we got two plants that need to go in bigger containers. That's my black sesame and my Mexican huckleberry. So I already got my compost, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I up pot some of those. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Alright guys, so I got my fabric grow bag. A little bit big. I only got the 15-gallon ones, but the black sesame could definitely make use of that considering how tall it is. Let me show you guys real quick. This is my black sesame. All those pods right there contain the black sesame seeds. And let me see if you guys, no, I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but it's definitely got some little bit of damage to it. It could definitely use some trifecta. So now I'm going to be able to show you guys what I do, or how I add the trifecta when I'm transplanting new plants. So, get my compost. And this is organic compost. So and by the way, if anyone's wondering, at my local nursery this was only like $7. So a little bit tricky when you have new bags. You don't want to flop all over the place. But and this, I don't know if you guys can see or not, but this soil is like completely black soil. Smells really good. It's really good compost. Work that in nice and good. Got my second bag. I think today I'll only be able to show you guys the black sesame, but I'll make other videos showing you how I transplant some of this other stuff. But for now, since I only have those 2 bags of compost, should have gotten more, but guess I didn't quite anticipate that. Alrighty. So that's looking nice and good. And then this is another Organics Plus. I believe this one was actually a little bit more expensive. I got this from one of my local big box stores. So just gonna add that kind of as a filler. Plus, I don't want to waste this either. Usually what I like to do is like break up the soil, try to get as little chunks as possible. Kind of just want to mix it in with the compost. Just like that. Only downside to the containers these size is when they're wet, they're like nearly impossible to pick up. Or maybe I'm just weak as fuck, I don't know. Okay. So, I'm starting with removing the wood chips down below. No longer need those. Get rid of as many of those wood chips as possible. That's just going to hinder everything. Okay. So, basically, I can tell that it's not too entirely root bound, so that is good. Did get some soil on it, but that's okay. Can wash that off, I think. So now you want to loosen up the root balls a little bit. I just teased the bottom of it slightly. Now, another step that I like to do is, especially when transplanting on the stuff that's like pretty hard and pretty dry, I'm going to go ahead and use this. Now I've soaked the roots a little bit, and go ahead and dig a hole like in the center where you plan on planting. And then I would say for probably a plant this size, I'd go ahead and add, set this down. For a plant that size, I'd probably add about 3 tablespoons of the trifecta. So I'm just gonna give it a few pinches, I guess, because I don't have a measuring spoon out here. So. So just basically wherever the roots are going to sit, you just sprinkle in that trifecta. And from there, guys, grab your plant. This is a little bit dry, so I'm going to rehydrate it a little bit more. So basically, once you think it's hydrated enough at least, set it on in there. And properly set it on in there. Set it on in there. And then after that, guys, you of course give the whole thing a nice, good, deep watering. We'll start off with a shower. This is a new seedling. And what you guys are going to notice when you use pure compost, it's got excellent drainage. And it's going to provide a lot of organic matter that your plants love. as you notice, I'm like really watering this stuff. So now I'm gonna let it sit for like a minute or two. And after it looks like it's pretty much gone through the surface of the soil, I'm gonna go back and hit it again. And it looks like it's just about there. And that should provide it with plenty of moisture, so it ends up doing quite well. And one last thing I want to do, since I did kind of get some soil on it, is I take it to the mist setting and I just spray down my plants real quick. Get rid of all the soil on the stems. You know, just basically clean it up nice and good. Alright, so I think it's just about good. Now, jeez Louise, these flies are crazy. I wanted to show you guys a little bit if I can. See if I can swing this around. One of the seed pods is opened up, and as you can see, we got a few seeds in there. Looks like. Nice little seed. Tastes pretty good. Not bad. Those sesame seeds are going to be pretty good. Pretty good. Bad boy's leaning a little bit. I have a feeling it's probably going to upright itself a little bit. My goodness. Okay. So basically, pretty much got that. Now, let me go take you guys over. There's my Goliath tomato. Show this first. There it is right there. Just in the process of starting to blush, it looks like. Got some flowers forming. I don't know if you guys can see. Go on. Forming up over there. So that's good. And also, my goji berry has started to flower. So that's an incredible sign. As well as over here, the huckleberry hasn't started producing any fruit yet. But we got the Buddha's palm doing a lot better. We got grape over here doing absolutely fantastic. And also my hibiscus is doing good. And this one right here, this is what I wanted to show you guys. Let's see, where is it at? Where is it at? Try to find it. Ah, here we go. A little bit difficult to see, but we got a pepper. Finally got some peppers growing. So that's a good sign. Peppers and eggplant are in the same family. So I'm guessing that means that soon my eggplants will start setting fruit as well, especially since we added the fertilizer to it already. So that's good. Unfortunately, the figs are suffering. I'll show you guys. Unfortunately, figs haven't been doing so good. And you can tell, like, there's not a whole lot to that. But actually, surprisingly, a little bit sweeter than the last one I tried. Impressive. However, if it wasn't shriveled up, it would, I have a feeling it would taste a lot sweeter. The last one before this that I tried didn't taste sweet at all, but this one actually tasted kind of sweet. So I'm actually quite surprised with that. So, looks like as the temperatures are dropping, plants are starting to get happier. And while I'm out here, one thing I don't think I've ever showed you guys is my orange tree. And just let me swing it on around. Check out some of these oranges, guys. Got some there. Got another one here. Wow, they're decent size. Got a couple smaller ones. Some here. So it's doing pretty good. Couple more. I mean, this whole tree is chock full of them. And by the time winter rolls around, should have a decent haul of some oranges, and we'll be able to have a lot of orange juice, hopefully. So I know this video is a bit longer than my usual videos, but I had my tripod and was noticing since I had to do some of these things for the garden. I thought I'd bring some of you guys along to check it out too, and hopefully you guys learned something. If not, hope it was at the very least a bit entertaining. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off here so I can let this video upload. This is going on 57 minutes now. So anyways, one last thing I want to say before I sign off is, if you guys have not thought about starting a fall garden yet, please do. The sooner you guys get started on the fall garden, the longer you'll be able to reap the rewards. Time is crucial if you're going to decide to plant a fall garden. So if you're thinking about doing it, definitely suggest starting it soon. Anyways, that's pretty much it for me, guys. Hope y'all are doing well. Peace.